Hello, everyone. Oh, nice. Uh, uh, yeah, my name is Dragan. I'm working on Red. I authored REVM. And yeah, I want to talk because the current scoping of the Prague, the next hard fork, is happening right now. And I think it's a very interesting topic to talk about. After that, there was even talk what to do after the Prague that was like on the level of the next 2 years. So I will cover that. And some bigger changes that are potentially coming after Prague. Before that, Ethereum governance, this is better. The number of teams over the years increased with consensus layer clients coming in the scope of the Ethereum. So the governance that was working a few years ago, it's very hard to make it work now. The problem is there is a lot of research topics, a lot of different ways that Ethereum is evolving. So for the next few months, maybe year, there will be some evolution of the Ethereum governance. They will still be loosely based, so it needs to be basically, the idea is to engage broader community, but proposals are mostly to allow local dev calls to be more high-level discussions, where for specific topics, we will organize breaking rooms. There were specific questions and more broader discussion can be made. Other than that, async communication is something that was mentioned a lot by multiple teams, where decision-making and everything was a lot easier when it's writing and when you can aggregate the stances of multiple teams. And there was a need to have more structured AIP inclusion. AIP is a way to include change to Ethereum. Currently, there is just one stage considered for inclusion, and after that, it got included. So the time from the making CFI to inclusion needs to be more specified. There's a link there with more discussions and more summary of how that could evolve. Prague and Pectra hard forks. Prague is for the execution layer, where Pectra is for the consensus layer. There's two hard forks that are basically synchronized to happen at the same time because they require both changes from both sides. Expected delivery for that was end of this year, and depending on scope, could be spilled out for the Q1 of next year. This is a list of AIPs that got included. There is 7, 8 of them, and additional 2 are added, or basically soft they are added as a soft fork after the Prague, and I will mostly talk about them. In Ethereum interrupt that happened 2 weeks ago, we created DevNet 0 with all those AIPs implemented, and it was very successful launch of some DevNet and seeing that all the clients implemented some version that can be run on basically DevNets. First AIP is precompile for BLS 12. BLS 12 is something that's used to aggregate signature on consensus layer. It was removed for one of the past fork because there was some problem with consistency between implementations, but it's finally happening inside execution client. There is 9 precompilers that aggregate all functionality that you need from BLS. AIP 2935 is saving history block hashes in state. Currently, the EVM has block hash opcode that allows you to fetch the block hash of the last 256 blocks. The problem with that, block hashes are found in the headers. So if you want to make proof of the past parent block, you need to, for example, block -100. You need to have the headers of all the parent block in the chain to make that proof valid. Including block hashes in the state, that proof is just like proof of the storage. This is done as the system call to one preloaded bytecode that's going to be created basically as ordinary creator section, from ordinary creator section, and the system call is called before the execution of the block. So the parent block is excluded before any transaction starts to be executed. There was a few changes, small changes. Block hash was, first iteration was for block hash to be changed to have more gas to be executed, but have like access to more block hashes. But we didn't wanted in this hard fork to make it more complicated, so block hash stays the same, and all the block hashes can be accessed with the ordinary call opcode. These three are related to connection between execution layer and consensus layer. First one is the platform. Basically, it specifies how that communication is going to happen. It allows us to be more like, hey, if you want to communicate from execution layer to consensus layer, how that would usually work. The second one, supply validated deposit on chain, allows its simplification of the protocol. It allows consensus layer to easily fetch deposits from validator. That was not done previously because previously we had the merge, and before that we didn't have communication between those two layers. And consensus layer needed to iterate, basically find and filter all the logs before finding the deposit contract and logs that the deposit contract basically transmitted. This is simplification, where execution layer is going to filter those logs and just send it to consensus layer. Third change, AP 7002. This allows execution layer to trigger withdrawal for validators. Validators have two keys. One, cold key and hot key. Cold key is used for the staking, basically for you to stake the ETH. And hot wallet is used to sign validations, sign blocks, and everything around that. Only way before this is for the hot key to withdrawal. It's basically trigger withdrawal for consensus layer. This change allows execution layer to use cold wallet to trigger the same thing. Increase max effective balance. This allows validator to stake more than 32 Ethereum. Heard from consensus layer clients that this was harder to do because you need to propagate the exchange. It's not just assume 32 ETH, it's like maximum of 2,000. So you can stake from 32 to 2,000 ETH in one validator. And the last one was most related to consensus layer, and I think it's simplification of the protocol, so it's a little bit more performant. But yeah, I'm most focusing on the execution layer, so I'm not sure what exactly is going on there. Account abstraction is something that needs to happen on Ethereum in some way or form. On DevNet 0, we included 3074 that add a new two opcodes that allow ordinary accounts, basically externally owned accounts, to be used by smart contracts. While the 3074 was implemented, new proposal arose, 7702, that basically allows smart contract to be added to transaction and executed before in the place of externally owned account. There is currently discussion how and basically what we want to include. Account abstraction is some way needs to happen on Ethereum because it unlocks wallets and unlocks new usages on Ethereum. Changes are very small to implement. The bigger question is what exactly do we want to include? There is breaking session happening every week on account abstraction. PeerDAS is something consensus layer related that is basically included in the fork after the Prague, basically last week. It allows basic data availability on the blob data That means that not all blob data needs to be transmitted over P2P. That means we can increase blob data count, blobs count, and don't override, don't basically make P2P network unstable. Ethereum object format, it has long history. It's a group of small AIPs that improve the legacy EVM. EVM is here for like 10 years, and there was no breaking changes where the opcodes got deprecated or removed. There is some, for example, self-destruct was repurposed for something else, but removing opcodes from legacy contracts was not possible. EOF introduces bytecode format where you have versioning, among other things. It allows removal of the gas and code observability. That means the contract doesn't know about gas. That allows us to change that gas in the future without worrying that we are breaking some contract. Same with the code observability. We could have code upgradability where because execution, basic smart contract doesn't know about code, doesn't know about hashes, doesn't know about code size, we can switch it for something else. And in the end, some measurements are showing like it's for Slate, it's 5 to 10% like less gas for some contracts. In the end, it's maintenance AIP that fixes some things that were long overdue on EVM. We're probably going to talk about that tomorrow in All Core Dev about inclusion in the Prague, if the clients want to include it or not. That's mostly about Prague. Scope of the Prague is around there. There's still some clients that want to include something, want to exclude something. It's still, scoping is still happening. But most of the AIPs are already even implemented and decided to be included. After Prague, that was the end of 2025, maybe 2026, we are having new topics that needs to be addressed. Verkle is one of those. Verkle is right now soft approved for Osaka, basically for the next fork after Prague. That means that clients usually already started working on it or they're planning to work on it. Verkle is a big change. It requires basically switches, Merkle tree. The Verkle tree, it allows smaller proofs. It allows to have witnesses that are small in size, but even transition from one tree to another tree is very sensitive and very error prone, so it needs to be very tested. Verkle in general can be split maybe in 4 stages. One is replacement of the Merkle to the Verkle. Second is transitioning, because we need to have some way to freeze Merkle tree and transition while updating state root. One of the things the Verkle does is include the bytecode inside the tree. That means we need current Merkle tree includes just the hash, while the Verkle tree wants to include parts, basically chunked parts of the bytecode inside the tree. That will mean there is possibility of increasing bytecode size while creating witnesses that are very smaller, just witnesses on part of the bytecode that got executed. And Verkle witnesses is something that will enable light clients, stateless clients that basically you could have client that will take block with witnesses and verify that block is correct. AIP for force. This is something that needs to happen in some way or form. Maybe it's going to happen. The change to the protocol to enable for force is minimal, but it requires structure that's going to support deprecation of the blocks. Deprecation for force are deprecation of the history blocks, receipts, and transaction. Everything that's, I don't know, 10,000 blocks older than the tip can be removed from the protocol. That means changes for the P2P. The problem with that, you will need to have ability or have a way to store those history blocks, and without that storage mechanism, it's not great to just remove it. Portal is one of the solutions that comes to the mind, where Portal is basically allowing to store the blocks, history, and everything around that spread throughout the clients and allow one client in the Portal network to fetch the data that need. It's one of the ways where we are going to store the blocks, and it's probably going to be incorporated in the clients and used in that way. The big, not problem, but one of the research topics is how to be censorship resistant, how to have it like inside the protocol. Currently, we are having map boost where the blocks and relayers and the proposers work together in ad hoc protocol that they're basically building the block in that way. It works right now, but it would be better if that protocol is incorporated inside the Ethereum. That E inside PBS is enshrined. That means like enshrining proposer builder separation. There's currently breakout session on those topics, what's the best and how to include it easily inside Ethereum. Inclusion list is one of that basically forces next block to include a list of the section that needs to be included. Yeah, it needs to solve basically timing problem because currently the block builder wants to push their block building at the last second and propagate block after that. That notion destabilizes the network because the timing games and everything around that pushes it to brick. Part of the network receives the block, part of the network doesn't receive it. And yeah, I think that's it. Just to say, notice, there is a lot of topic research that are done by multiple teams. So I'm just having a like overview, what's going on, and what's like hot topics that needs to be addressed in next 2 years. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, that'd be great.
Hey, I want to ask what are the biggest challenges regarding PBS?
Having good solution that encompass basically solves the problem, because you're dealing basically fuck memes. You're dealing with sorry, it's on my screen. You're dealing with timing games, and you need to have a way to slash the builder that's not. They are basically not doing great for the network. Currently, this is not done. Everybody trusts the relayers. Everybody assumes that builder is going to be okay, and if needed, it's going to be removed from relayers. That kind of protocol that's currently map boost needs to be moved inside the Ethereum. It's a lot like research needs to be done, and we need to be sure that everything works. To be honest, I'm not investigating a lot about that topic, so that's my view of it.
Hello, thank you for the talk. Do you know if in Pectra there will also be the inclusion of this collocated staking penalty?
Not that I'm aware of.
You know which one I'm talking about, right? The one that tries to incentivize solo stakers a bit more by
Moving the curve, I think. It's, yeah, but this is not something that's going to be included, at least from my perspective. It's more like consensus layer thing, but I think that incentivizing the moving curve that's validated is going to be rewarded. It's like separate AIP. What else to say? There's more questions.
Hey, sorry, I was a couple minutes late, so I don't think you mentioned it though. Do you think the contract size limit is ever going to be removed? Do you think the contract size limit is ever going to be removed?
Probably. With EOF, if the EOF is going to be included, you don't have like restrictions on the code size. You even have like different code sections that can be basically, I think you have 64 code sections maximum or something like that. No, 256. And it's like, can be quite bigger. We're currently keeping it at the current limit because we don't want to disturb what all is there. But yeah, this is one of the things that could potentially happen.
What's the LE5 for EOF?
Basically, you remove jump destination, you move analysis, you remove. LE5 would be, hey, legacy bytecode is legacy bytecode. There is a lot of bad things there. Not bad, but it's like legacy for a reason. People 10 years ago didn't think that how can be this usable in different ways. So fixing those small things and packing inside the EOF is basically EOF. From removal of the gas limit from the calls, basically there is different kind of calls that work the similar way. From like adding immediate that basically allows opcodes to have immediate value. For example, think about static jump with immediate that's going to be where to jump. And there is a lot of those small changes that pack together. Subroutines are something that are added, and self-destruct is removed, and yeah. Thank you very much. If there's no questions.
Guys, just a quick one before you go. So for those of you that are attending Rust Summit tomorrow, I thought you maybe give them a little insight, a little sneak peek to what's in store for them.
I'm not going there.
Yeah, you're not going?
No.
Oh,
sorry.
God, the Rust OG is not going. What's happening?
No, I have different
Okay.
Yeah,
No
personal
problem.
life things.
Yeah, I got you, man. It's been a long 3 days, but another big round of applause for Dragan, guys.
Thank you.